Chairman of the nation, Sam Omatseye, is set to be launched on the 15th of March 2024, or the 12th of March, 2024. The book, titled Beating All Odds, How Bola Tinubu Became President, is dedicated to celebrating the giant strides of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The author, Sam Omatseye, recently paid a visit to the presidential villa where he presented his upcoming book to the president. Well, he joins us now to talk more on this. Sam, congratulations on this book. I had a great time reading through the book. But I was intrigued, and I found it interesting that you were able to document, you kept documenting, some of the things that happened. For instance, 26th August 2022, and then you went ahead to another date, September 2022. You kept documenting. Was it deliberate? And did you envisage that, the president was going to win and it was necessary to make this documentation?
How would I know? Am I a prophet?
I don't know. That's why I decided to ask.
It was an interesting thing. I thought this election is going to be really, really, really turbulent. And it's going to be, there are going to be a lot of sweepstakes. And I told myself, I really need to be taking these things down week after week.
Wow.
And maybe at the end of the day, I will look around and say, well, this is what it is. I didn't know I was going to make it into a book. And if it didn't win, I don't think I will have even tried to, I didn't know what I was planning to do with it. Really? But I knew that it was an interesting thing to do. I don't think anybody had done it, that to take diaries of Nigerian election campaigns. I thought that was an innovative way of looking at.
Absolutely.
Yes, looking at, you look at this week and you look at all the battles. And when I go back to read it, I say, there was a lot going on in this election. And, I went back to all the files and what was going on between Wike and his people, what was going on with Tinubu, what was going on with the Muslim ticket, Shetima, and the people were fighting over his shoes, why he was wearing shoes, and why all those battles, then I tracked it up to, up to the very day of the election. And after the election, I stopped taking the diaries.
Yes.
I said, well, the election is over, I stopped taking the diaries. I didn't know it would be still more turbulent, because it was turbulent all the way to November. I think at that time, the election was over. When I was the president, I once told him, I said, look, you didn't really become president until November, because there was this fiery hatred coming in from right and left, and this attempt to delegitimize what even the people had already affirmed. So it was really a turbulent time. I thought that, let me just sit down. I thought I would look at the period when there was no money, when there was fuel scarcity, the Milocom, all those things. There was so much to every week I was just, putting it down, and I didn't want to go diaries. You have to take them short. So I gave myself a limit of 500 to 600 words.
Wow.
So I tried to. So I remember when I was in school, when we were doing Presi writing, I said, this is the moment
to bring it back to life. And you actually did, because there are so many interesting chapters. Just like he said, documenting it based on different dates. Some of those which came out in some of the columns that you also put on. But then you didn't see the general election as an obstacle, but the only obstacle or the main challenge you saw was, the party, the APC, which you told the president, now the president, that if he's able to clinch, or if he was able to clinch the party's ticket, then definitely is going to win the election. But he didn't see it that way. And you also claimed that former President Muhammad Buhari did not support the incumbent president.
Yeah, he didn't.
Right, but then this was a president that defied all odds, against the electoral guidelines, where he displayed where his thumbprint went.
Yes.
So how would you say you didn't support him when he thumbprinted for him?
It was a force. It was a force that he could not stop. He was there when he was saying it, that there were forces against him. He said it in Abeokuta. I said under the shadow of Lisabi. Lisabi is this great Egba general, So I always put it there under the shadow of Elizabeth. Was acting like a general fighting for his own independence, his own assertion. He was fighting against the central bank. He was fighting against the presidency. He was fighting against Obi. He was fighting against Atiku. He was fighting against tribe. He was fighting against religion. He fought against all of that. And he himself, at the end of it, told me he did not even know that he could win. At the end of it, you could say so. But when I asked him before the primaries on phone, and I said it there, I asked him on phone, I said, are you not planning anything like plan B? If this your party doesn't give you this,
maybe
you
go to another party.
He said, no. I wasn't planning anything like that. It didn't look like somebody who was looking at an alternative. It's like, I've put my focus here, I'm going to fight it to the end. It was that kind of thing. And well, then he said, there's one expression he used. He said, I've told myself, if I don't go for it, I am damned. If I go for it, I may be damned. But I must go for it. Because I know that no matter the case, I will win.
Let me have you to quote it. He said, I told myself if I didn't run, I'm damned. If I ran, they may want to damn me. So I had to run anyway, and I knew I would win. So he said he was speaking in the eye of the battle, suited for war, like David and damning Goliath.
Exactly.
Amazing.
Now I'm here looking through, some other pages, and the one that's caught my attention is your article, Obituary.
Oh, Obituary, yeah.
I was looking forward to seeing it being featured here, and you did, because we knew what happened at the time.
The concept to write Obituary actually happened here. The concept to write, when we were doing a show, that was when the idea struck me, when we were interviewing somebody from Italy. Somebody from Italy was talking about the Obi movement and so on. That was how the idea struck.
Right. It's a major feature here that I'm certain that...
Screen. For that, you guys didn't
and then you changed your number at the time.
No, I didn't change my phone number. Yes, I tossed that number. That number went to the grave. Had an obituary.
Talk to us how difficult this was for you and how worried your family, was, during this, hard time.
It was my wife that told me that I could not be driving alone with that car. With one car I was using, that I had to get another car, and I had to had to screen it, and then I didn't go to. I only came to the breakfast show. That was the only place. That was my only movement for 4 months. Occasionally, when I went out incognito. I was very, very wary of that, and I had to keep. I had to be an eleha. I had to stay inside. Bashiga for me.
An imaginary product.
All right, interesting. Another thing I'd like to raise concerning this book is, if you think this book would put to rest some of the controversies that were stirred up leading up to the election and after the election, because you mentioned something that talking about the president, did not have a hand in all his victory. Yes, for instance, he was not the one who coerced the northern governors of his party to endorse a southern candidate and all of that. But do you think that this book, whoever picks it, would perhaps find answers to some of the controversies they saw at the time?
That's what I hope. I hope that when you read this book, you go back and then you put it in the context of some of the myths and stories that kind of garnished the air during the time of the election. There are so many stories going about, a lot of them unsubstantiated, some of them unknown about things that happened during the election.
That's right.
But so this story, this is an attempt to tell the other side of the story, things unknown. Because up to yesterday, I was on the website and on a platform where some people were saying, well, Tinubu and Buhari, they were always together and so on. And I reminded them that if they were always together, why did they go to Abeokuta to go and hear? I mean, when it came with the Miloko, remember, it was somebody pushed to the wall who said, okay, I've been to this party, all of you are trying to gang up against me. That's why he said that Amadibo, Amawole, and that the people, it's only in Yoruba that the people who say that we will get there, they don't even know the road. It's supposed to be Yoruba. Something like that.
Yeah.
And he said things like he said this in English, they follow those who know the road. You know, it was making the point that it was alone. Like somebody who was bruised, but who was going to fight. Like there's this ballad of Sir Andrew said, I'm struck and wounded. I lay me down and rest a while, but I'll rise and fight again. So it was just a fighter. And at the end of the day, even up till now, he still marveled that he was able to succeed. I mean, he could not have done it on his own. He feels like the forces were just working for him. He did not create Obi to Obi. Yeah. He did not tell Obi to run for the election.
Yeah. But he worked in his favor.
He did not ask Atiku to work with some of his friends to stop Wike from running, and by that created a division within their own party. He did not ask Atiku to tell Iyosha Ayu to stay aside so that he can make peace and have a united party.
That's right.
He had no hand in all of that.
That's right. That's why you actually refer to it as a sort of miracle that even he himself is not able to explain. But
exactly.
There is something people are now saying about the president, because now he's there. They said, okay, he revived Lagos. He did a lot in Lagos as Lagos State Governor. And then now he probably has seen that Lagos State is not Nigeria, that Nigeria is way too much for him. But something which you captured here under the article which you wrote, If Lagos Can, and I quote page 131, you said, if Lagos State can do it and raise its revenue, why can the whole 36 states not do it? Why can't they raise enough numbers to do it as a cooperative bulwark? Do you see the bane of Nigeria's development as the states not being creative in their own?
It's part of the problem. But that is why he was saying in a conversation with the governors, he said, spend the money, don't spend the people. That you have a role to do as chief executive of a state, to use your imagination. You see, gift is nothing. Adventure is everything. You can get all the giftings, and if you don't leverage it for good, you have wasted your time. Talent means nothing. It's work. I mean, was it not this man, this inventor? He said success is 1% talent and 99% work. Yes. So you have to keep plugging that thing out. To be a good broadcaster, it's not just because you have a good voice. If you don't say anything beautiful, if you don't know how to put this in perspective, well, just a beautiful voice. It's just like a white-head sepulchre.
And probably that's what you meant. Probably that's what you meant when you threw a jibe at Almighty Amampor, as well as Zain Asha, when you said that under this article which you tagged them shabby and shoddy Chimamanda, and then you said Amampor did not prepare for the interview, and it shows how hollow some Western journalists are about African society. Our loyalists would not forgive you for this.
I don't care. That was the truth. I watched it. I said, look at Amampor. Amampor is more dazed by the interviewee. The first thing you do when you go and interview somebody is to have a certain level of detachment from that person, so that you can really ask the proper question, do right research. Well, it was more of a worshipful interview than a critical one.
I see that you captured the part of the wife of the president, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, especially her Ishekiri intervention.
Yes.
You said, yes, I'm reading it here now. Let me just read. You said, I had contacted a few people ahead of the rally to persuade Ashwaju to showcase himself as an in-law. But she did it. She did it with grace and flair and gave utterance to her nativity with fluency and mastery. She did not force the accent or intonation. Talk to us about... Yes, you did. You are enjoying Talk to us about this aspect, because it was a critical aspect with regards to when the president was going about campaigning. There were those who were saying, she may no longer understand her language, she may not be able to connect with the people and all of that. Speak to this aspect.
Because I watched it on TV. In fact, after she spoke, I sent a message to her. She said, "Are you in the rally?" I said, "No, I'm watching it on TV." I said, "I'm watching it on TV." It was very good. It was a way of also trying to show that all those people who were saying that the president was just, who immediately just started seeing the president as a narrow person. They forgot that the wife actually is deep in the Niger Delta. And then she spoke Shekiri language, she spoke it so well and engrossed the audience. You know, in Warri, the rally was in Warri. And it was an interesting rally, and it was a way of also trying to show the other side of the president. People were saying that, okay, it's going to be a bigot, a Muslim bigot. Well, this was not only not a bigot in tribe, was not also a bigot in religion, because the wife was also a pastor. So they didn't see that, they didn't want to hear it.
And she's even authored a book.
Authored a book on
Christianity. Yes. So I'm actually awed by your gift of poetic license, or even linguistic license, and how you string words together. I don't know. I wonder what flows through your mind whenever you try to put pen to paper. For instance, you were talking about to be under the zars of the eyes. On page 204, you said even that he is soliciting funds from his followers. No one remembers they regarded him as the no shishi candidate who is now milking them for the chin-chin.
You heard that?
What was going through your mind at that time?
Really, it's a difficult thing to answer, because when I write, I don't really think about what's going on in my mind. It
flows.
I just write, but there's something I was discussing with my friend Ajibade, Kunle Ajibade, and the other day. He used the expression utterance. He said, when you have had a lot of reading and a lot of experience with words and history, mythology, and everything together, when you speak, because he used the word utterance. So the thing just comes out, It's not as if it's like when you have already put, we want to cook a very good soup. You put the onions, you put everything together. When the soup tastes, it is not just the onion you are tasting, you are tasting the pepper, you are tasting the vegetable, you are tasting
all the potpourri of...
everything just comes out. And when it comes out, the onion is not responsible for what comes out, neither is the vegetable.
I'm wondering how the president responded to this book when you perhaps showed him and told him about it. Has he read it? And what was his response?
In fact, the president did, when he was in Chicago, he did what they call speed reading. He reads very fast. And I've noticed that over the years. And when I gave him the book, he read a lot. He read a lot in my presence. I was just sitting there. Sometimes he would say, why are you saying? He would show me part of it that he was looking at. And he was really interested in the book. Yes.
So that's
the list.
That's the say, because they say leaders are readers.
Yes.
Asiwaju Tinubu is not just a leader, but he's been a reader
as well.
So some of the best gifts you can give Asiwaju is to buy him a book when you travel. One of the best. When you give him a book, it's like a kid you are giving candy. When you give him a book, he's very fascinated by the idea that you are giving him a book. Yes.
Talk to us about what to expect during the launching, because the launching is you know,
The 12th.
on the 12th, yeah.
Well, I expect that that to be an atmosphere to look back at the election and to put everything in perspective for all of us to know how we got here and to know that it is a very serious matter, that we have a new president and that everybody will have to work to make sure that the ultimate goal is to make Nigeria a better place to live.
So what's next after this book for you now? I'm sure you have another adventure of writing.
Always have adventures, but I have to keep them in mind because you don't have to throw everything out and.
It's an interesting one.
This thing. Immediately the election was over, because then I knew I was going to
Write the book.
publish this book.
Oh, okay.
Publish because
Yes.
it was
Started
already written.
documenting, yes.
It was already written.
Yes, yes.
The only thing I had to do was to do the author's note.
Yeah,
That was all.
yeah.
But
Everything
this
was
is not your first book about the president. This is not.
No, I did one after he finished his tour as governor. Little miracles, many little miracles. It was actually a book of testimonials, what people were saying in various fields about how he governed, how it affected them personally. It was more of people telling the story. So it was not as rigorous as this. It was a book of the people.
So hopefully after his tenure as president,
Let's see.
And I think, reading the book, I think it actually answers a lot of questions about the president should be a sort of a syllabus that should be studied by a lot of people who want to venture into politics.
It's a study in so many things. It's a study in psychology, a study in politics, it's a study in public relations, it's a study in courage. It's
and diplomacy.
In imagination.
Right.
Yes. Right. As a recruiter of men, it's a many-sided genius.
We'll have to leave the conversation here. Congratulations once
Thank
again,
you.
Sam Omatseye, for the book, and we hope to be at the launch.
Thank you. Try to be there.
All right, this is where we draw the curtains on the program for today. Let's tell you that the views and reactions of all our resource persons are theirs and have no connection with TVC News. Up next is Your View with the ladies, and afterwards, this morning with Yori Folarin. Stay safe. Bye for now.